This right here is a 1993 Yamaha Big Bear 350 I picked up a while ago. Got a pretty good deal on it. We're going to see if we can get it running today. Now I just did a video on this Kawasaki not too long ago. This is a Kawasaki Bayou 400 1993. So I figured if I get this thing running, it'd be a good comparison video. There's definitely a lot of differences between these two, but this right here in 93 was Yamaha's biggest ATV you could get, and right there was Kawasaki's biggest ATV you could get in 1993. That's 400. This is a 350. This thing right here is a air-cooled 350 engine. Same top end as they run in the Yamaha Warriors, the Big Bear 350s, the Bruin 350s. So these things are usually very reliable engines. I actually don't know a ton about this. I picked this up for 400 bucks, non-running. It's in pretty good shape. Now this has, so it's a 5-speed, but it has low and high and reverse right here. So you actually got 10 speeds, 10 forward speeds, which is kind of neat. You got the sub-transmission here for the high and low. But yeah, this thing is, like I said, it's overall in good shape. I don't think this ever had a rack on it. Some of the Big Bears definitely came with front racks, but I don't believe this one ever had one. I could be wrong. I didn't get one with it anyways. Got the rear rack. Seats in good shape. Now, these don't actually have odometers. They got trip meters, so you can't really tell how many miles is on it. But I would say there's not a ton. Honestly, these rear tires might be original, especially with those kind of weather cracks. They're very rough, but like I said, I don't know anything about it. Brakes, they seem kind of seized up. Battery box, missing some of the stuff. Wiring looks kind of messed up. But here, this is what I'm concerned about. As you can see, we got some blue goop silicone there on the base gasket and on the head gasket. Now, I know you don't want stuff to leak, but never use blue silicone for a head gasket. Doesn't work. I'm sure there's still a head gasket in there, but don't add blue silicone to it. As you can see, we're missing a bolt here, missing the recoil. I don't think I got that unless it's sitting in the trunk in here maybe, but I think it's got a chance of running. What I was told, we'll come back here, do we have anything? Oh, we got a big old sponge. That's about it, I guess. Rotted out muffler. That muffler reminds me of the Yamaha Moto 4 I used to have. Technically they did call these Moto 4 Big Bears. You can see the head pipe's off. Spark plug is not threaded in all the way. At least it's got one in it, so water's not getting in there. But the story on this thing was supposedly it had a bad timing chain. He ended up changing the timing chain. I think he gave me an old timing chain in a box somewhere. I don't even know where it is. I could probably find it if I have to. So he said he did that, and then he went to start it up and it wouldn't start. So I'm thinking it might be out of time. Could be wrong, but definitely gonna tear the top apart and see what's going on. Let's go ahead and bring this in the garage. Well, I got her in here, pulled it in with that Kawasaki Bayou, and I gotta tell you, that Bayou pulls amazing. Maybe this thing's light, I don't know. It seems kind of heavy, but that Bayou pulled this thing like there was nothing there. So if we can get this thing running, I really think we can, but you never know. I don't want to jinx myself too bad. So if we can get this thing running, I'd really like to see, especially with this having the low range, to see if this thing can outpull the Bayou or the Bayou just carries this thing away. I don't know. We'll find out. But that Bayou is really low geared. So we'll see how the low first gear does on this thing. That's if we can get it running. That's if it drives. I don't know. It's a Yamaha. It should run. But look at the last Yamaha Big Bear I tried to get going. That one needed some major work. Crank. Hopefully this one's not the crank. Let's check the timing first. Now normally, if I get a rig, I'd slap a battery in it, see if I could fire it up. This one I'm not even going to try because of the story I heard. I want to check the timing before I do anything. And you know, we got stuff just laying around anyways, so we might as well start to double check their work. Pull the seat off. That seat is in good shape. Probably has had a recover one time, I'm guessing. But the cushion feels really nice on that. So I got an air box. Looks like our carburetor is not seated properly there. But everything's here. That's a good sign. Our fuel line is a little on the short side. That's not going to work. Gas tank's just sitting on there, so that'll save some time. Just take that, pop it right off. But even the decals are in great shape on that. Really nice. These are a little beat up a little bit, but should clean up pretty good, I think. So yeah, I guess first thing to do was check the timing. Now this, I don't know if this model was electric start only, or if it's missing the part that the recoil catches onto. I'm not sure. I know some of the Warriors were electric start only, so maybe that's what's going on here too. But yeah, looks like our inspection sight is loose enough to just pull off of there. Now we got to pull this off to look at our cam. So let's go ahead and pop these off. Let's see what we got going on. So we'll pop the intake valve cover off as well. That one was on there. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to rotate this engine over. Oh my goodness, is that... did I just see what I think I did? I did. Oh boy. It's a good thing I didn't try to start this. Look at that nut, or bolt. Not even tight. Not even hand tight. These machines I received that people already work on. Wow. Can you imagine if this thing did start, that bolt backed out and got knocked off and the cam went down, the chain got all tore up, it would have ruined the chain. That is a brand new chain now looking at it. It would have ruined the sprocket, it would have ruined a lot of stuff. Probably, you know, depending on where those valves, if the valves were opened up, it would have hit the piston, would have ruined the valves. A lot of stuff could have went wrong with there. Makes me nervous, I mean, the rest of the engine. Because you never know, especially seeing the blue silicone on here. But let's see what they did. It looks pretty grimy, honestly. The valves, yeah, nothing gritty, at least. I don't know if that's my hair or somebody else's. Alright, so yeah, we're going to rotate it over. The intake valve is opening up. Oh, that just let loose, so this wasn't on very tight. Go ahead and pull the plug so we don't have any compression. And I'm going to hit this with the impact to tighten her up. And now I should be able to rotate this engine, let that intake valve drop, and then when it pops back up, now we're going to be looking for our compression stroke. So our top dead center on compression stroke. So we're looking for a T in here. Not seeing anything yet. Oh, there's the F. There's the T. See the T? Kind of looks like a brand new, maybe a brand new magneto in there. Hard to tell. They do got it lined up perfectly though. So obviously timing wasn't the issue because it is lined up. But what else I got going on here? How's the valves? Feels decent. Maybe a little on the loose side, but I don't know. What do you think? Should we tear it down? Double check their work? Install a new gasket that doesn't have silicone on it? Or should we just slap it together and try to fire it up? That is the question of the day. What to do, what to do. I think it would be pretty stupid of me not to tear the top end down after seeing, you know, the cam being loose, the sprocket being loose on the cam. What else is, you know, do they have the clips in the piston for the wrist pin? Who knows? I'll feel a lot safer if I tear this down. So let's go ahead. Head pipe's already off, so that's one thing we don't have to worry about. Get these spider webs out of here. Remove our mounts. That out of there. And that. Looks like this snorkel or air duct is not even on the air box, so that comes off easy. Now we'll remove the carb. These are some rusty bolts, rusty looking bolts. They came out. Of course, this top end's been apart. I don't know when, but I don't think it was too long ago. Actually, these are coming out slick. There's that one. And that one. Now this, like I said, that carburetor is loose, so it should just pop right up out and get it out of the way. There we go. Now we'll take the time chain tensioner off. Make sure we crack that. Then come in here and loosen this up. Yeah, you can see that timing chain tensioner. Of course, it's fully extended now. It's got a long ways to go. Of course, it is a brand new chain. Kind of looks like a brand new tensioner as well. Well, this we know we can just loosen up by hand. I don't know if I got somebody's project that, you know, they just didn't finish or what, but why would they have that cover on if they didn't even have this tightened up, you know? I don't know. Put that on out of there. And we just pull these head bolts. That out of there and that. That one. So these, yeah, I can feel the silicone. Pulling that on out of there. So you can get two of these pretty easy. Unless this frame's a little different. Actually, it looks like they might all come out. We'll see. Got two washers on that one for some reason. Get that one out. And the last one. Yeah, I figured we would be missing a washer on one of them, but we weren't. So this one we can pull the coil, but as soon as I lift this head up a little bit and tilt it, I'll be able to pull that. Because of all the silicone on there, I need a little assistance because it's stuck pretty good, but it popped right off. Now it would have been very close, but it's only two little 10mm bolts, so we might as well pull them. I already pulled them, and just make it a little easier. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see how this looks. Pull that timing chain tensioner up, over, pull that out. Get that out of here. Check her out. Honestly, the head don't look bad. All right. Yeah, that's a thing of beauty right there. That is a thing of beauty. Oh boy. Alright. I keep showing you all the junk I'm buying and how the previous owners either worked on them, treated them. You guys probably aren't even going to want to buy any used machines after you see all these things. Oh boy. If you see blue silicone all over the engine, that's a good indication you might want to just step away or be prepared to do some work on it anyways. Pull this one cylinder bolt here. I believe there's only one anyways. We'll just come in here. We don't want to break the fins, but yeah, she's on there good because of all the silicone. But it's coming. It's coming. We'll slide her on out of there. Definitely glazed, but some scratches. Fingernail test. You know, I don't pick any up. Check out this piston. I mean, it looks filthy. It looks like dirt on it. That's not really oil. Boy. I'm just going to pull it off and clean it up because it looks pretty good. Rings look good, I think. Definitely some scratches right there. But look at this is like dirt. Somebody just put this engine together dirty. We got a clip on this side of the piston too. I'm impressed. I didn't see any other faults other than they just slapped this back together either with dirty hands or dirty parts, or they left it open and the wind got to it. But it's on the side of the piston skirts, so it was obviously assembled dirty. Not a great idea. Anyways, I'm going to pull it apart and I'll pull this piston out and see how she looks. Looks pretty good right here though. Pull that clip on out of there. See how easy. Yeah, she's stuck on there. Little light tapping and she came right off. So yeah, just it's just so filthy. It's very filthy. Now look at this. Look at the garbage. Oil goes through that hole right there. And look at this gasket and sealant. Just don't put this crap on there. Just put a new gasket on there and be done with it. Now if the surface is like got a gouge or something, sometimes you want to be extra safe and throw a little something else on there. I've done it before, not on a head gasket. I mean, do not do that on a head gasket. If you're going to do anything, use a copper spray. I got some around here somewhere. Copper spray works for head gaskets. Blue silicone, don't. It won't hold up to the compression. Now, I wouldn't recommend the blue silicone for any of that job, but anyways, if you're going to use silicone, use the smallest little film of it, not glob it on there like this. All right, get everything cleaned up. Rings look good. Piston looks good. I mean, a little bit of scarring on the side skirt here, probably from the dirt, and here. After looking at this, you can see there's a 1.00. That means this is a 1 millimeter over. So they actually bored this out and had the piston. And by the looks of the piston, it looks, you know, it looks like it's been running. It wasn't like it was just slapped together and ran, I don't think. Looks like it's been running, but unfortunately it was put together just super dirty. But I got her cleaned off pretty good now. I think she'll run fine. I still got to clean off that cylinder, and I'll probably throw a hone through there just to double check everything, but it should be okay. Look at the goop on that cylinder. Oh boy. Alright, got most of that crap cleaned off of there. Probably still do a little cleaning. Went ahead, honed it out real quick. It looks to be in real good shape. There's a couple of little marks, but she's gonna work. So let's go ahead, throw this back together with some new gaskets. I still gotta clean the base of that engine up, then I'll throw it together. Alright, little oil on the connecting rod. Now we'll install the piston, arrow facing exhaust. Go ahead and get our clip in there. Snap it into place, just like that. Get our locating pins installed here. Right there. Get our new O-ring on there. Certainly not the smoothest sealing surface, but I think it'll hold up. Got our new O-ring around the sleeve. Install our new base gasket. Just like so. And now our cylinder can go on. So get those rings started, then we can just slowly bring down that cylinder. Looks like our base gasket moved a little bit. Get that in the right spot. Then down she goes. So while this head was off, we're at top dead center. We can check our valves right here, and the intake should be between 002 and 004. Right here is 6 thou, and it goes in. It's a lot more than that, so definitely too loose. I like to run my valves a little on the looser side. As you can see, it's a lot tighter. This is 4/1000ths of an inch right here, 0.004. That's what I got it set to. That's the high end of the valve clearance. On the intake, the exhaust, on the other hand, is supposed to be 0.06 to 0.08, and this seems pretty loose, so we'll see what this is. This is 0.08 right here. Actually, it's pretty close. I think it's still a little on the loose side, so I'll go ahead and tighten that up. 0.08, much tighter. That's perfect now. Now to adjust the valves, all you got to do is loosen up that jam nut. Put this, put your 8/1000ths in, or whatever you need, and then tighten the center of that until you have your desired clearance, and then you can tighten that jam nut back up. Usually you got to hold the center so it doesn't move while you're tightening the nut. I would show you, but I'm very hard on tripods, and I broke another one, so I gotta get another one here at some point. So right now we're working with my hands. Locating pins in, I got a new seal around this, and now our new head gasket can go on just like that. Now we can slap this head on. I should really do the valve seals in this, but I really don't have a ton of time, and I'm hoping they're fine. Hopefully it's not going to smoke. I'll throw it together and go from there. Oh boy, I just saw something else. This is not going to be somebody else's machine. I'm not selling this to anybody. This is mine. I plan on keeping it. I don't know. I just kind of always like these Big Bears, and this is an older one. I've never had one with the high and low range, so I'd be curious to try it out. But I'm just going to run this thing around the house, and hey, it'll be a nice machine, I think. So I was just looking at the intake on the carb here. This is the intake boot. It's supposed to have a gasket in here, a O-ring. There's none on there. There was none on the intake of the cylinder head, so obviously they didn't even have one in it. Like I said, this thing is just, it's been cobbled together, to say the least. All that blue silicone I really do not like. For one, it looks like crap. For two, it could be, you know, all that excess stuff could be getting down in, blocking off oil passages, plugging up the oil screen in the engine, and I don't know. I'll pull the filter out, but yeah, we're just going to hope for the best on this one, I think. Alright, let's get the head on. Cleaned all the crap off the timing chain tensioner. We'll throw that in there. I got to pick up. There she is. Go ahead and torque these cylinder head bolts down. There we go. Alright, so everything's tightened down, these two bolts, cylinder bolt. We gotta make sure we're still on that T for top dead center, which we are. Now we're gonna take our cam sprocket, and this notch right here is gonna line up right there. And this can only go on the camshaft. This can only go on the camshaft one way, as you can see the notch here. It goes where that dowel pin is, so that's gonna go like that. We're gonna put it on the chain first, and then line her up. Now we're lined up here, and we're still on the T. So we're good to certainly put our bolt in and tighten her down this time. Get that tightened up. Now we can install our timing chain tensioner. Our spring can go in. And the end of it. And we'll tighten that one down. Get some new O-rings on our valve covers. Not use silicone. Slap that one on. Tighten them down. Get our coil bolted back up. intake valve cover. That tightened up. Getting closer. New O-ring on our cam cover. Tighten her down. I'm very tempted to open this up and change the gasket out, but I think we're just going to try to fire her up and see what she does first. Alright, next we'll get this exhaust on there. Slide that flange up. That's snugged up. Now normally I'd find out if this thing's going to run or not before I put all the mounts on, but I got a good feeling. So we might as well slap that back on there. Now this is one big difference between these older ones and newer machines. As you can see, there's no rubber mounts. These things are steel mounted to the frame, very rigid. I mean, you move this, you're moving the whole wheeler, you're not moving that engine at all. Where all new ATVs have rubber mounts. You don't get much vibration in the handlebars or anything, but you do got that wear spot. The rubber engine mounts wear out on them every now and then. We are getting very close, but I think we should probably pull that carb apart and see. Oh boy, did you see that gas that came out of there? That is green, blue. Smells really, really bad. I'll go ahead and pull this thing right off because it'll just be easier on the bench. Pop that off. This has got the same carb, or very similar carb, to that Yamaha Wolverine 350 that I just rebuilt. Alright, get that disconnected. Now we can just slide that on out and go ahead and tear this apart. Probably better pull this off, make sure they got no ring on that one. And it does. That's a good sign. Alright, let's go ahead and pull this off. We'll see where our air-fuel mixture screw is. Half, 1.5 out. Half, 1.5. Alright, let's see what's in here. Pretty gunky. Nasty stuff. Go ahead and disassemble it. There goes the main jet. Check out our pilot. And I just blew through that and I can see through it. I doubt it's going to be the same way with the pilot because that's an awful small hole and a lot of debris. Yeah, no. That needs a good cleaning. So does this whole carb. I was trying to pull this out. That needle valve was stuck in there. Actually, there's not a lot of crap in it, but wow. Look at that. That's a screw that holds this seat in. She's pretty bad. And this is why I pulled these carbs apart and not even try to start it. I mean, look at that gunk. Nasty. Got everything all cleaned up in there, reinstalled, ready for... Oh, I gotta put the gasket back on there, and then we're ready to throw this thing back together. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have a new carb kit for this thing, otherwise I would have installed all new parts, but that's okay. Got it cleaned enough. This gasket looks definitely reusable, so we should be good. We should be good. Now, I believe this is supposed to be set to like 2.5. That's what they usually are. Could be wrong, but we'll go ahead and set it. That's 2. There's 2.5. I think it's like 2.5, 2.5/8 that they're supposed to be. I didn't check the manual, but that's what I think. That's what I'm putting it at. We can do some adjusting if it doesn't run right. Got an O-ring on there now. Let's go ahead, slap her back on. Probably better pull this air box off. Make sure there's not a nest in there that's going to get sucked up into the carburetor. Now, I will say I like new machines for the airbox designs a lot better than these older ones. These older ones are always screwed on. New ones, you just got a couple of clips and you can take it off real easy. These aren't bad, but they still take a little bit of time. Yeah, not bad, actually. Not bad. It's got a filter, surprisingly. We'll try it. We'll try it like that. Alright, new NGK spark plug. We'll make sure this thing has fire before we try to fire it up. Jump pack. Alright. So we get here. No neutral light. Oh yeah, we gotta hook this up somewhere. Well, that is gonna go way down. And in there you can see the prong. I gotta sneak that down through. Right, you got that plugged in. Moment of truth, hopefully we have a neutral light now. And we do. Alright, looking good. Let's turn her over. Or not. That doesn't seem to be working. Alright, well that could be the switch, it could be multiple things. We're going to try crossing the solenoid, see what that does. So we got the ignition on, we'll just come in here. Cross the solenoid. Turn it over. I couldn't see, maybe you guys could see. Nice, we have spark. I think this thing's gonna run. Let's throw that plug in, get the gas tank on here, and give her a whirl. Alrighty. Might have to give it some more juice. That charger did sound a little weak, but or the battery pack I got on there sounded a little weak. Or she's just turning over mean, I don't know. We'll see. But we don't need that on. We'll snug this up. There we go. Get that fuel tank on. I did, oh, looks like it's not shutting off, but I did go ahead and clean this out, so we shouldn't have an issue there. I gotta get a fuel line on that quickly. Get that. Turn that on. Let that carburetor fill up. Actually, it might be leaking on this petcock, it looks like. Yeah, it does look like it's leaking out of there. That's alright. Give her a choke. Key on. Hey, it's working now. Good. Let that, yeah, let's try to start it. Oh, nothing. I think it might be just this button. That's alright. Cross her over. Come on, girl. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Let's make sure we're getting some fuel in the bowl here. Open that up. Oh yeah, she's coming out now. Come on, girl. Well, that was a no-go. I thought this thing fired right up. It almost sounds like she doesn't have much compression. I don't know. Could do a compression test. I'm going to dump a little gas in the carburetor right here and see what we get. Oil appears to be pretty low. I am going to change it, but I didn't want to change it until I heard this thing at least pop like it's going to run. So I'll go ahead and fill that up. a little gas, a little shot of gas in there. See what she does. Still nothing on that. Make sure my choke's out. There we go. Well, that's not what I was expecting. I really thought this thing would pop right off. It almost seems like it doesn't have any compression. It's not great. Not great. Let's go ahead and do a compression test. Well, definitely a little disappointed in that. We'll pull the plug out. Again. Now we'll thread in our compression tester. Thread that in. There we go. So when we turn this over, we should be around the 120 to 145-ish range if it was in real good shape. So we'll see. Something's really wrong. Either the valves are really tight, which they look good when I checked them here, or we just don't have any compression. But even if those rings were, I would think if I had no rings in there, I would get about that kind of compression. That was like 10 PSI. That's a good gauge. I've used it recently. Yeah, right? Okay, so I tore this cover off. I haven't even looked at anything yet, but it did seem like it was turning over kind of slow. So I put a battery in it, a good battery. We'll see if we can jump that compression up because it seems super, super low. But even with it turning over as fast as it did, I would think it would be more, but we'll see. No. So, all right, let's double check our work. Pull our inspection port off. Intake valve, intake valve cover. Alright, let's make sure our timing's good, and then, so we'll wait until that intake valve drops, pops back up right there, and we'll check. Where is the T? F T, and right on the money there. Let's check these valves. That seems fine. Check the exhaust, I guess. I get this off. Let's make sure this isn't too tight. I can move it up and down. That's not our compression issue. I really have a hard time believing that the rings, they looked fine. I didn't mic them out or anything. I just wanted this to be a quick project, and I thought it was going to run. I guess let's do a leak down test, see where she's losing the compression from. So we'll get rid of this. And in exchange for this, alright, so how this test works, we hooked compressed air up to here. And this gauge is showing you how much PSI of air you're putting in to the cylinder. So at top, you need to be at top dead center, otherwise this is not going to work. So top dead center, we're going to go ahead and increase the air up to maybe 100. We'll see. We should be able to tell real quick because this is such a low compression reading. Say we go to 50 PSI on this side, and this side's reading like 25. Well, that's 50% leak down. That's horrible. It should be around 5, 10, somewhere in there. So let's go ahead and check it. Now when you do this, you're forcing air into that piston. So what it's going to do is it's going to want to spin that engine. So we need to lock that with a ratchet like that so it doesn't move. All right, so now we'll come over here and slowly increase our air pressure. So we're at 10 psi. We're not moving. So right now we got to check where our air leak is. I can hear it. Now if our air leak is in the carburetor, which it kind of sounds like it is, it means we have a problem with our intake valve. Now if we hear a leak in our exhaust, let's go ahead and increase this so we get more of a noise here. Yeah, we're at 50 psi and we're only at like 5 psi on this side. Not hearing anything out of the exhaust. Now if we had a leak through our piston rings, you'd hear it in the crankcase here. It'd be pushing the air into the crankcase past the piston rings. It's not doing that. It's right here in the carburetor. It means we got a bad intake valve. This is probably bent or something. Something's going on with this intake valve, unfortunately. We have play here, so it's not being pushed down from the rocker. So that's not our issue. That sucks. I had the head off already. And I said, you know, I should have replaced the valve seals. It's definitely not valve seals. I should have poured liquid down to see if we were leaking, because this is a bad, bad leak. Well, looks like she's getting torn back down. This is why you do things right the first time. Always double check your work and do things right the first time. You know, on customers' machines I do. On my machines, sometimes I try to skip along, and because I think it's going to be real quick, and then I can get back to working on customers' machines, well, this is going to take me even longer now. Should have did it right the first time and checked out that cylinder head to make sure there was no problems. Obviously, we got problems. I'll tear it down, and you guys will see what's going on next. So as you just saw, we got a bunch of liquid coming up through the valve, so we got a big problem with that intake valve. Let's power off. So just by physically looking at this valve, the intake valve, it doesn't appear to be bent. I mean, I don't see anywhere. Obviously something's going on. So we go ahead and throw some gas on here. Instantly, it's sinking down. Maybe it does have a lip right there. I don't know. Yeah, as you can see, those cam lobes are awfully sharp. They've probably been run out of oil at one point. Not great. Now, I'm probably not going to use this head because of the cams and everything, but I want to see what's going on. I'm guessing the valve's bent, but we'll see. It is bent. If I just rotate that, you can see it. Wasn't super noticeable by eye, but obviously you can see it right there. Ooh, coming out of that seat mean. Yep, so unfortunately, I need another head. Well, that was harder than I thought it was to find a head. So I knew I had an old Yamaha Warrior 350 engine that I got with some deal. I don't know. I didn't have a four-wheeler for it. I just bought the engine, and it was supposed to have some transmission issues. So the head I thought was the same. Apparently they're not. They're a little bit different. Now I might be able to use it, but this one had some cam issues as well. So this is the one, obviously filthy, but this is the cam I pulled out of there. It's missing that locating pin. It's broke, and you can see this is probably run without oil as well on the top end because it's kind of chewed up. Then we moved on to the Big Bear 350, the $50 machine or $100 machine that I just did a video on. that had a bad crankshaft. So I pulled the cylinder head off of that one. That cylinder head is the same as mine, and the cam looks good and everything. However, an exhaust bolt was broke off and I cannot get it out, and it's just rusty, rusty, rusty. I mean, it is just bad. I heated this up for a while, still couldn't get it. I probably got to weld a nut to it and then maybe get it off. I couldn't get this dowel pin out of there. So anyways, those valves look like crap. These valves didn't look bad, so I ended up pulling this exhaust valve out of this one, and this is the Warrior engine, and apparently the valves are different. The valves are actually bigger on the Warrior. Yeah, I said exhaust valve, I meant intake valve, but this one right here is off the Warrior. This is off the Big Bear. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but there is a size difference. I'm on the edge over here, and you can see there's a lip. So the valve would not work. The whole head assembly would, but like I said, it was chewed up anyways. What I ended up doing is taking the horrible looking intake valve out of the waterlogged Big Bear 350. Took that out, cleaned it up real good, put it in here, lapped the valves. I took the exhaust valve out as well, put new valve seals, and so far so good. Okay, so I got some gasoline in there. Doesn't seem to be moving. This is the exhaust valve, but we'll go ahead, spray some air up in there. If we had any leaks, we would see bubbles. Head in the intake. This is the one I was working on. Spraying right into the intake port. No bubbles. So we should be good there. I should have did that to begin with. I would have saved myself a complete top end teardown again. Such a quick thing to do, but when you're in a hurry, you just throw things together, and that's when things go wrong. So I'll go ahead and slap this back together. Before I even try to start it up, I'll go ahead and do a leak down test, and then you guys can see a good leak down test, hopefully. So let's go ahead and try that out now. I also forget to mention on the seized engine, the one with the bad crank, the Big Bear, when I opened up the intake valve cover, this dropped out. And it wasn't the intake, so I'm guessing that's the exhaust side. I never tore this apart before, so she's seen better days. But at this point, I got everything torqued down. I got the timing chain on. We're ready. We might as well do a leak down test right now. I don't need to hook up the intake. I don't need to hook up the carburetor, the exhaust, anything like that. We'll just go ahead and do one right here. Alright, we got it on top dead center. I got my socket holding the crank here. So now we can add some air pressure. That looks better. Okay, so you can see we're moving up at the same time. That's how it should be. We do have a little bit of loss right here, as you can see. Oh, what happened? It turned over on me, didn't it? Yeah. So as you can see, we lost everything. What happened was this slipped. Something moved here. We're not on top dead center anymore. So I got to put it back on top dead center, then we can crank it up and see what it is. Get it back on top dead center. We should be good to test this time. We'll crank it right up to 50. So we actually have a pretty decent loss still. We're at 40 and 50. A 10% loss would be 5 psi at 50. So we're actually at 20% loss right here. We'll crank her up some more, see what we get. So just about 100, and we're at 75 psi here. So we got like a 25% leak down. I'm not hearing any on the intake. Not feeling anything on the exhaust. You hear that? So I actually got a couple ports open here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one. Actually, it's going to be coming from this too. Hear it? So we have that much loss in the piston. We did just put everything back together in the top end. So hopefully it'll kind of seat itself in there, and then we won't have such a big loss. I guarantee this thing will run now. With this kind of leak down, though, it may smoke, or it may not have quite as much compression as it should. But we're doing pretty good. So these gauges, this tool is pretty handy actually. I owned one many years ago, and then I didn't bother with it. I used my compression test, and then just kind of dug in. But I just picked this up at Harbor Freight. They're really not a whole lot of money. I'll leave a link in the description. You can check it out, and if you want to pick one up, go ahead. So I'm gonna button everything up, and then we'll get back to it, and we'll try to fire up. We have spark, we have fuel. I think we're gonna have compression now. I'm not even gonna bother with a compression check until we get this thing running, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna run. Let's get to it. Yeah, we're ready for a tank. Get that on there. Let the gas flow. Now if this thing does start, it still could be a ticking time bomb because, well, we definitely got gas leaking out of that. Arms and the cam were worn down, so obviously it ran out of oil at one time. Oh, we get some fuel coming out of the bowl here. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't have a new kit. That wasn't leaking before. Huh. Anyways, yeah, so we're definitely getting oil up there now because when I pulled the valve covers off, there was a ton of oil on the top end, so it was getting oil. Let's go ahead and try to start this thing before we leak out too much gas. On. Is she gonna... Oh, we don't want that in there. I had the throttle held wide open for that, but yeah, we're still not working there, so we get that. We'll go ahead and jump it. Here she goes. She's a runner. Little vibration noise somewhere in there. Seems to be going away actually. Oh. There we go. I don't know if she wants the fuel or if she's getting too much fuel. Yeah, she's getting too much fuel. Holy smokes, look at the exhaust. All that oil and water and gas coming out of there. Yikes. Probably better open up the doors, get this thing outside, and definitely got a leak right there, but that clamp, there was no way this clamp was getting tightened. Actually, it's broke, and it's missing, the seal's in pretty rough shape, so we definitely got a leak there. But hey, she runs. That's kind of what I expected to begin with the first time before I pulled apart the top end again. Anyways, let's get this thing outside and see how she goes. She's a runner. She's a smoker. Shifts, I think. This throttle cable is a little too short when I turn it. She revs up a little, so that's not great. But yeah. Yeah, we'll see how she goes here. So we're in low range. We'll put it in high. See if it's got a high. I know it's got a low. First gear. There we go. that doesn't sound good. Definitely got a CV over here going bad. Beautiful. High range seems to work. Got her back in neutral. Go right to reverse. Reverse works. I don't know if that odometer works. The shifter's a little sticky, but yeah. Low range. This is first gear. Second. I don't know if you're supposed to shift the sub-transmission while you're in gear. I don't know if you can actually, so we're in first. I don't know if that actually worked or not. Yeah, no. I mean, it shifted when we were driving, but I don't think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to be in neutral, probably. She's a runner. She's a runner. Still smoking out the back. It's like white smoke, though. I think it's just burning off the junk in here. Yeah, that's nice. Some kind of hair. Could be the packing in there. Probably not, though. Definitely a little noisy on that top end. And those valves are in spec as far as the clearance goes. But hey, now I know she runs and drives. That was half the battle. Let's see if this thing's working yet. No, definitely got some issues here. But how does she start after she's warmed up? Beautiful. Beautiful. Still puffing smoke out the back. Well, hey, I just wanted to make sure everything was good. Now that I know the transmission's all good, I still haven't tried the four-wheel drive yet, but definitely got a problem up front with the CV shaft, I believe. It's a little noisy. Hey, I don't care. She's running, driving. I got $400 into it right now. A little bit of work, a lot more than I expected. Not a lot more, but a little more than I expected. This video is definitely what not to do, because you don't really want to use those old parts, but hey, this thing probably run forever like that. Maybe not, but it's my own labor, so who cares. Definitely want to drain that old oil, put a new filter in, do all kinds of stuff. Probably should have done it as soon as I heard this thing run, but I just wanted to try it out after seeing everything else. But I'm happy. Gonna need a new cylinder head at some point, but for now, she's running good. I'll see you guys on the next repair, or maybe test ride.